Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 9 of Powerbombshells with Sam and Mel. Sorry we're a few minutes late. Literally, as we were about to go live, Mel had some technical difficulties. Her computer decided to do whatever it was doing. So we were a few minutes late, but we were here on time. We were ready to go. And so hopefully you like our new little entrance video that Mel made for us. It's very fancy and very awesome and exploding, and I like it.
I gotta give a big shout out to the guys from Breaks for Impact, JD and
Nice.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know that guy. I'm give a shout out to a person I can't whatever. No, but JD and Mike actually helped me find some usable I'm not some wonder genius for video stuff, so help me find some fun stuff that I could actually use for us, because I got tired of us just being like 7, 6, 5, 4.
Yeah. So it's very helpful, and I like it. It's fun. It's loud, and it gets your attention, and we're loud, so it works. Because we are two loud broads who talk about the wrestling we watch, and so we need a video that's equally loud.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you like it. Hopefully I was like, is this too loud? Is it too tinny? I got all like, I can do sound, but I can't do video. So I'm like, is the explosion perfect enough?
I think so. I enjoyed it. So,
well, good. That's all I was really looking for. I was like, if Sam likes this, that's all I really care about.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Excellent. Very nice. So, since our last live stream, Mel had got to go to some live wrestling, and it was her first GCW show, which is awesome because I have not been to GCW either. So I'm very excited to hear. I saw because some of the people I follow on Twitter, they GIF things. So I saw gifts from some of the things that were happening last night, and I was like, oh my god, I was like, Mel gets to see this. Like, yeah, she must be having a blast. So I was really excited to talk to you and find out about how your experience was and what you thought and what was your favorite stuff. And there was lots of I was like, she got 2 death matches in a row.
We got some crazy
and then the main event, which I'll let you talk about, but the main event, I saw some stuff and it was insane, and they ended up announcing it. I think they just announced it yesterday morning. I think it was a friend
Facebooked it at some point, because it was hard to follow because they kept the impression that I got is that they like coming here, and we have this space is so amazing. But I've got some pictures for you.
Awesome! I can't wait to see them. Yeah.
I mean, I was going a little crazy with pictures because I was just like, but because I wanted to get 1 or 2 that actually were decent that I could show people stuff. And I'll get into it in a minute, but they like coming here is what everyone kept saying. So the card kept getting
bigger and
whittled a little and whittled a little, and a little more people were showing up, and so I think it was on a Facebook post where it was and they added it to the listing for the event. They were like, high incident, big deal, giant stuff going on. Here's this picture of the scaffolding we're going to be setting up. And I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah. We were practically getting in the car to go. And it was so much closer than, it's actually closer than our Knights of Columbus Hall.
Oh, wow.
From our house, which it was like, really? So
wow. That's great.
Kind of cool.
Yeah. And even better.
And I had, of course, the perfect listing that had the best card from yesterday. And then, of course, when my computer decided,
I think I have because yesterday because Matthew is the one who sent us the tweet about the scaffold match, and then because I told him you were going, and he was like, oh my god, that's her first show, look at this card. I was like, no, I've seen the card. I was like, it's fantastic. And so I think I might have the card right here. Let me see. I don't know if it's in order. It has some of the matches. And it doesn't look like they're in order at all.
I bet you I can grab this.
Okay.
People, this is live, people. This is riveting.
I was gonna say, if you can't find it, I will just read off a match and you tell me what you thought.
Because, and I can do it that way as long as I just want to have it in order because,
because you want to
pretty
remember
cool.
how.
Come on, be the one that I clicked in.
But yeah, so GCW, and they ran Friday night too, and
in Cleveland.
Yeah, and from what I saw, Joey Janella thinks he broke his foot Friday night, but he was like, I have a big match on Saturday. He was like, it's not going to stop me. And he like apparently wrapped his foot, and like he tweeted a picture of his foot. It looked nasty. Like I was like, how? And then I saw people tweeting last night. They were like, he's supposedly, wrestling with a broken foot or an injured foot. And they were like, I can't believe that he's wrestling like that. So I was like, but yeah,
that actually explains why he only tried to kill himself once last night in that match.
Only once. I guess he killed himself the night before. So.
He did it so many times that he just was like, oh my gosh, type card in there, ding dong. I am the quintessential, like, halfway of a grandma on stuff sometimes. They'll always be able to tell who's running the ice. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to mess around with it.
All right, you want me to just read you a match? Okay. Like I said, I don't know what order this is in.
My biggest issue is that because there was a scramble.
And there's always a scramble.
And I didn't know every single person in it, so it had like all the perfect listing there. And I was just like, because I can tell you that Tony Deppen won the thing, and he did it with Tony Deppen flair, and he was,
I was gonna say
angry and hated the entire time. And it was a really good scramble. It wasn't, like a big waste of time. And that was one where Yo-Yo tried to kill himself.
I saw the GIF where it said like positively no diving, and he dove anyway. And God. They said that there were people who were streaming the show were having sound issues, and people were like, "Oh, it's because Yo-Yo landed on the speaker and knocked out the sound."
Okay, so let me see if I can pull up
the GIF. Is insane. I've seen the GIF. If not, we'll retweet it on the Powerbombshells account because
let me show you the picture, kind of like what this said. Oh, that's okay. First of all, that's the ending, and I wanted to make sure that everybody saw that this was what the scaffolding match looked like set up.
Yeah, it's insane. There's a ring under there somewhere.
Yeah, I turned around. I was like, I get great, credit to their ring guys, man, because I turned around and I was like, oh, there's like a whole another level of tables there.
Right.
How great. And I don't want to drop that one too early. So
yeah, we'll save that.
But you can kind of see. Okay, so if you think about it this way, so my perspective is that I'm standing on a balcony. This is the pit where they put the ring. So I was standing up and kind of leaned down on it. And then they let people sit on the stage.
Wow.
And this takes place in historic Harpo's Music Theater.
Yeah.
That little up in there. And it's really cool. The venue is it's falling down, and it makes me so sad. Aww. And I'll go off on my tangent about, the way that it makes me sad that old places like this. I wish I could show you the, like, it's kind of cute, but I'll show you the pictures, or I'll tweet some of them. I've got a little Instagram that I already had forever that had wrestling stuff that I just started adding more stuff to.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely put that on there. For sure.
It's got like multicolored floor that's like old and still works because it's like a disco.
Nice.
Oh, it was the perfect venue, honestly.
It sounds like
back in the place for, and so I was really happy on that front. And
good.
Sick. We should talk about the matches.
Okay, yeah. So you had the scramble. Tony Deppen won. Again, won. I don't know what order.
Hated him.
I think everybody. I think that's
everything was normal.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so like I said, these are just in no particular order. So, this I saw some clips up. So there was Bussy which is Effie and Alley Catch, who are the current GCW Tag Team Champions, versus ASF and Gringo Loco. And ASF, if you've never seen him before, is insane. Like, he's this tiny little guy, but he flies all over the place, and he just impresses me every single time I see him.
That whole match was a whole lot of fun. And that's my first Effie. And that was the one I was saying I didn't want to drop on you too early.
Oh, sorry, and I'm just going right into it.
No, I didn't want to drop the picture on you
gotcha.
too early.
Oh,
I don't care when we talk about the match.
Yes, I'm very excited about that. I love
it
some.
was-
I mean, I do. I love Alley Catch, but you guys know, if you've been listening, you know I love some Effie.
Effie did this move in the corner. For those of you who have never seen Effie, he loves to use his genitalia area as a strength point. But
Yes.
he did this thing in the corner, and I think he did it too on one of the GCW shows that we watched.
Yes. Yeah, that's his what is it? Hang on, I can tell you what it's called because I saw it last night. Because I forgot what it was. Hang on one second, because again, we're super live and I wasn't prepared. I knew I should have wrote this move.
Prepared.
Last night I remember I was like, I should write this move down, and I was like, no, I'll remember it. Let me see.
That's okay. This is perfect. People are gonna love it because
now I'm getting
you know what? Let's do this. You can get to the name of it. I'm gonna tell you it's the greatest freaky move ever, and I had like the perfect. It's amazing. It looks like a dragon screw, but he uses his genital, or he uses his groinal area for it. What am I gonna say?
Yeah.
He's happy.
I will believe. I'll put if there's a GIF of it of I believe of what you're talking about, and I will retweet it to our Twitters, because if you don't follow that Rose Tattoo on Twitter, she's always gifting stuff, and a lot of times it's GCW stuff, and so she's who I saw a lot of the stuff from last night, and I was like, I'm only getting a very small taste of what Mel is seeing, and it's fantastic. I think I just got to it. Oh yeah, let's see. Oh, I saw where Alley Catch walked to the ring, and she wears her belt on backwards so that it's above.
Alley Catch, she's just adorable.
She is.
I was like,
and
I don't
some
know
of you may
if
know
I
her.
can get into this. She did a somersault that started on the apron and went over the top rope, and she kind of did a couple of tumbles. She looked like she was like a little fourth grader doing some physical ed or something, and I was just like, that should make me mad, but it just makes me happy.
Yeah, she's great. She's one of the only like regular women who wrestles in GCW. That's one of my biggest complaints, as at most wrestling, is they don't utilize a lot of women. I mean, they bring women in for her. Thunder Rosa has come. She was in a scramble like a few months ago. She just showed up and was in the scramble. So they have used her, and they are so like at the big show that they had at why can't I think of it? The Hammerstein Ballroom. They brought in Ruby Soho for her, and then and so then we saw her, and she wrestled Mickie James during the More Than Mania week. So they do bring in women for her, but yeah, she's like one of the only. So she wrestles men a lot, which I enjoy. And I came across the name of the move. It's called the Face Invader. Which is the
Face Invader.
Which is why I thought I would remember it, because it's super simple and it describes exactly what the move is.
That's perfect. And Alley Catch is Space Jesus. Is that her deal?
Oh, Billy Starks. Yes,
Billy
I forgot
Starks
she was on the
that
card.
match.
Yeah,
Okay.
Billy Starks is phenomenal, and she
was great.
Yeah, she's
oh my gosh,
that
match
I think she's 17.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, she's like 17. I don't think she's 18 yet. I think she's 17. I know she's still in high school, so she like goes to school during the week, and then she trains, and then she wrestles on the weekend, and like
Perfect.
and she's so like she's really talented to be 17 years old. Like she's definitely somebody. So and she's wrestled Allie Katch before too, and she wrestled her. I'm trying to remember. There was a show last year during More Than Mania week that they wrestled on together that was really good. And so yeah, Billie Starkz is definitely. So she does wrestle sometimes for GCW. I forgot. I didn't mean to leave her out of that, but yeah, she's great. And I saw I saw one of the gifts where she's talking about how she's a big strong girl too.
Well, the thing I liked about that was that I didn't think about the fact that it was an intergender match until at some point I was like, this is an intergender match. Like I was
right.
just, you know what I mean?
And I think that's one thing about JCW with their presentation. They don't present it that way. Like they don't make a big deal about it being intergender. It's just these are the two best wrestlers for this match, and this is what you're gonna get.
And I mean, Allie Katch was suplexing the boys just fine.
Yeah,
it was beautiful. Yes. Loving it.
Very good. So let's see. I guess we'll move on to another, just like I said, match at random. So the Dirty Daddy and newly signed to New Japan, Chris Dickinson, wrestled ACH.
And I had a laugh when I saw this on the card because I've seen this match in Evolve.
Right.
many moons ago when those two were not as good, and I mean, those guys are thick boys and ready to go, and he's the Dirty Daddy now. I mean, he is the man. I know he's been in it forever, but this is like what he's doing. And I was like, okay, this match could be pretty good. This match was really good. Yeah. It was it had technical aspects, which I love. I did not expect to get a bunch of there's a handful of like technical wrestling matches on this thing. Yeah. Where they were using German suplexes and they were doing catch. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like this, I'm having so much fun with this. God bless being back in a wrestling room with wrestling fans. Right. I was like near the guy that was similar to the guy that we had at Madison Square Garden, who was the that's your champion, don't boo Jay White guy. Who was doing it in good fun, not being overly serious. But and it just so happened last night that I kind of had the GCW version of that guy, and so like he was talking about that's why I remembered Space Jesus, because he's like, you can't kill her, you have to space crucify her. I'm just like, that is. There's so many moments where I was just like, I love you. I love standing with you people. I love saying one fall with you. It's wonderful. And this match just it was really good. They had it was a little bit better than I expected. Yeah. And I think I would say it kind of it was hard to be on that card with a couple of stuff that went on, but it was it fit perfectly. It was really fun.
I saw him. I think this was the match that I saw the GIF. There was an insane dragon corkscrew that he did on that the Dirty Daddy did on ACH, and it looked vicious. So I was like, did he pop his knee out of socket? Yeah. And I mentioned this when we talked about the PWX show I went to a few months ago. ACH was on that show, and he just looks so happy, and he looks so glad to be wrestling. He looked happy, he looked healthy, and it's so good because ACH is I think he's wonderful, and I've always been a fan of his and pre-WWE, and I think he's fantastic, and he's just gotten better. And I feel like GCW was a really good fit, which you wouldn't think just based on because JCW has this, you think when you hear GCW, you think death matches. And so you don't realize until you really start watching the shows that there's all kinds of different wrestling. All kinds. And so ACH, he is a fit there. They make it I guess just, I don't know if it's just the presentation or just the opponents they give him. They make it work, and so it's really cool to see, and it's cool to see them do things that, and certain wrestlers, you wouldn't think of them doing certain matches, and then you see them in GCW and like, oh, okay, well they're really versatile. They can do all these things, so that's very cool.
And it was nice at the end of it because there was handshakes and pats on the back. And I think, at one point, Chris Dickinson grabbed the mic and he's like, but it's still important that this guy's here doing this and put him over. And there was a lot of that last night that I really liked. And I know we'll get to Alex Shelley and Nick Wayne.
Yeah. Do you want to get into that one next, or do you want to wait? Do you want to go with a different one? Do you want to save that one?
We can talk.
Okay. Yeah, so this was the match that besides the Suzuki match, when I saw that you were getting this match, I was like, holy crap. I was like, so she got Nick Wayne versus Alex Shelley.
And it was exactly as awesome. and it was, when you said holy shit, you nailed it. It was great. Yeah. And everything that you've heard about Nick Wayne is true. He is that talented. It is ridiculous. It isn't fair, but it's gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Boy, am I glad to be an AEW fan. Boy, am I glad to live in an era that the possibility of a guy like that doing Best of Super Juniors or something like that is a possibility. Because he already does certain things. Like, he had Alex Shelley in the corner just beating the crap out of him on the ropes. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like the possibilities here.
Right.
And it wasn't like, not that I would expect this from Alex Shelley because he's the man, of course. And it's a lot of fun because in Michigan, he's from home. I mean, he had home field advantage, as it were. And I mean, when everyone's making the Michigan map and the whole deal with it, I mean, everybody. And he's coming around. And I mean, I'm glad that he did the rounds before they started the match and then after.
Yeah.
Because it felt great. It was awesome. It was nice to see him. And I've seen him again. I saw him in Evolve because when Kushida first came to Evolve.
Yeah.
And this was when they started, they were doing, I got to talk to him actually, barely. But I learned little tricks about seeing when the handlers are coming. Because that was when they were starting to do the thing where, because WWE had either bought Evolve or was in the process of absorbing it.
Yeah.
And so I got to kind of walk over to him and be like, hey, man, it's really great to see you up in here. And he was super cool and super grateful. And
awesome.
It was one of these things where, and then, of course, they come running over because they were like, you didn't pay the $500 to do the pre-thing. But I got, a picture. And that night, Alex Shelley did a toll running. And, and he but they got to talking about the fact that being the best man at each, at one or the other's wedding. And that's how close they are. Because time splitters. And I mean,
yeah.
I mean, so they've had a relationship forever. So,
yeah.
And that was the first time. It seemed like that was the first time they'd gotten to see each other in a really long time.
That's really cool.
So there was way less of any wrestling interest in that. Whereas this was like Alex Shelley was wrestling Nick Wayne.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
Yeah. And it seems like Alex Shelley, since he's come back the last year or two, that he's just been on another level. Which seems impossible considering all that he's, I was like, considering how long he's been wrestling, it just seems like he's just gone another level. And he does. He seems very, very happy. And I think that's contributed a lot to what he's doing in the ring. And, I think it comes through, you can see it. So, but so this match looked insane. I saw a few gifs and I saw that a lot of people were talking about it and they seemed to really, really enjoy this match a lot, which is completely understandable. And and I was reading this thing when you were talking about Nick Wayne. I read this, I can't remember now who interviewed him, but I saw it, I think in Post Wrestling article, but they were talking to Nick Wayne and he was saying that he's kind of on an apprenticeship deal with AEW. And then in order for the contract to go into effect, he has to graduate high school. He said that Tony was that's
Good.
like one of the big things. Like, in order for this contract to even go into effect, you have to graduate from high school first. So he was just talking about how insane that is, and like he's the youngest ever to be signed to AEW. And he was like, he was just talking about how like it was kind of mind blowing and things like that. And he seems like he has his head in a really good place, and whoever is around him is making sure that he's doing well. So I'm glad to see it. So I can't, if he's this good now, I can't imagine what's going to happen once he gets
smart.
into, And I think GCW is a good spot for him because he can wrestle so many different types of people. And it seems like people see that talent and they want to work with him and they want to help him. And they just want to help him improve. Like, it's not any of this backstabbing shit. They want to make sure that he thrives. And
they're being part of his development.
Yeah.
And I think that, like to your point about Alex Shelley, I think because the nature of wrestling has changed on the inside of the business a little bit, and there is a little more, people aren't trying to fuck you.
Right.
Like, I think that he can he's found little spaces for that to be helpful in that situation.
Right.
But he like demanded the mic afterwards so that he could talk about the fact that, it's great and I love being here, but this is what you guys need to be paying attention to. And this kid is doing it right. And he's working his ass off. And make sure, he just put the kid over. Flat put the kid over. And the fact that he was working this hard and that he was doing all of these other things.
Right.
And I've been a hockey fan my whole life, kind of randomly. So I know a lot about, and like junior hockey does basically the same thing where they like kids come from, if I'm coming from this part of Canada to come to Detroit to work with the Red Wings farm system, I'm going to live with a family and I'm going to go to high school, and that's, billeting basically. And I think that Tony could, it's not the worst model to follow.
Right.
And it keeps kids from, Jim Bailey asked a great question on Wrestling Observer Live this week but you have, and it's the theater kid question, which is, if you're this good this early and you're going through these many things, do you have to essentially worry about their mental health and all of these other things? Hopefully, thankfully, maybe, because we have alternatives to the big company sort of way of doing things. That might be a thing. But I also do think, as someone who worked in youth sports, that it's still a valid question. So you kind of have to find a balance there. But in this particular case, to come all the way back to this, is like, it was a wrestling match. It was freaking awesome. This is like a 4-star match for me if we're doing stars.
Wow.
Probably one of the best matches I have ever seen live, because I was just paying attention to it.
Right.
It was everything about it was interesting to me, and the respect level in the ring between both of them.
Yeah,
because he wasn't like, I'm wrestling some old dude who's over here. It was, I'm here to have a match. So
in Detroit against Alex Shelley.
Against him, right, which is a big deal, and it was. But I'm so glad. I hope it came through and I kind of put out a question to someone in our group because they did watch it live, but I hope it did come through a little bit, that the love for one thing I will say about GCW fans is they are very generous to their promotion, and that will always, which is the point, right? That's what you're going for. So they're there to be behind what's going on. And then in that case, they poured it on harder because, home guy.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'm glad that went as well as it sounded like it could, especially seen on paper. So then we touched on this briefly, but we had Joey Janella versus Bandito, which sounds like it was insane.
It was insane. It was better than it had a right to be, honestly. Because, I don't know. mean, Bandito's always going to be Bandito. His first move is always going to be a tope suicida right into the audience. I mean, which is hilarious because I've been at a show where he did that to us. He was tagging with Flamita, so he was a little less GCW. It was much. It was back in the Progress days. A much purer Bandito. This Bandito doesn't care.
No,
he doesn't.
No,
and I thought it was interesting that it was him. There was a point at which I was like, oh yeah, Joey Janela's in this thing, because he went to the, like I was showing you, because there's like the pit, and then there's like the stage where people can sit, and that was like Joey Janela. He kind of like ran off and then came back and he was on the stage, and I'm like, oh, right, of course, this makes way, of course, duh. I thought he was going to jump from the stage onto the table that was already somehow involved in the match.
Seems like something Joey Janela would do.
I was like, he actually, like, he was way more reasonable than I expected. I mean, again, that was it. That was his, and I think you're right. I think if he hurt himself the night before, it was the only reason he didn't try and kill himself.
Yeah, because GCW Joey Janela is a completely different level Joey Janela. And we've talked about how like kind of John Moxley is a different GCW definitely brings out a different, I guess because they have, I don't know that, I guess maybe freedom is the word that they've got a little bit more freedom. Maybe it's the creativity. I don't know. But yeah, Joey Janela, GCW Joey Janela is completely different than AEW Joey Janela, because, which, I mean, it's obviously with TV, you have to tone it down a little bit. But yeah, and it's crazy because Joey, and I know Joey, for a lot of people, some people have really strong feelings about him one way or another. I've always been a fan of him just from what I've seen on the indies, and I thought they could have done more with him in AEW, but I think that GCW is a really good fit for him. And he's really, he's really fascinating he's just the things that he comes up with, like his, he didn't get to do it in AEW, but in GCW, he got to do like a lot of really cool promos to like make when he was announcing matches that he was doing. Like he's very, I think people underestimate his mind. I think he's just I think he's just a lot smarter wrestling wise than people give him credit for. And I think a lot of it's just because of how he comes off, or maybe his character, or maybe how he was presented in AEW. But I mean, you look at the things he does, like with Joey Janela's Spring Break, the clusterfuck that he does, he puts on all these like insane shows. And so I think that Joey deserves a lot more credit than he gets. And I think hopefully being back on the indies and being back in GCW more often, I think hopefully people will kind of realize that. But, like I said, so he can be polarizing, and, some people really can't stand him and some people love him. And I am one of the people who I really enjoy what he does. And so when I saw that he was wrestling Bandito, I was like, oh, that's going to be insane, because they're both insane.
Well, and they can both wrestle when they want to. So there was actually some of that. And I've seen Joey Janela on the indies before he was any of those things. So it was like one of these things where I got to see him in the Knights of Columbus. But I think he was maybe one of the first times I saw someone try and do a hardcore match in that tiny little space.
Right.
Which, it's really just not good for it. It just isn't. It wasn't the space for it.
Right.
But I mean, it's fine, man. But that was right. That was on the tour where he like twisted his knee back in Albany. It was either the show right before. Yeah, it was the show right before. Like he went from our show to the next show and really seriously injured himself.
Oh gosh.
That was when he took that injury and he was out for a bit. And so maybe that made him smarter-ish.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like this version, and I like this match, and I like both of these people. I'm obviously a Bandito fan.
Yeah.
So,
well, who can't be? Bandito's phenomenal.
He's my guy.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
That was, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
When and the crowd was, it was fun to be in a mixed crowd.
Yeah, because now Joey's gotten the last few months with GCW, he's gotten where I guess he's kind of like a heel and people hate him, and the fans have kind of it was pretty. Yeah, the fans have kind of been turning on him more, and like because he turned on because he like attacked X-Pac and stuff like that, and so there's been there
was an Eddie chant because he did a frog splash from I don't know Jupiter or something.
Jupiter sounds about right.
him because I was like, for me, and the fact that I'm as short as I am, it looks like I'm watching an acrobat like flip into these people, and I mean, it's like, wow, he's gotten way crazier. I mean, I guess if anything, I got to see crazy Lucha going into town, wrestling Joey Janella, and I just didn't expect it to be as good as it was because there were moments where they were like, hey, here's some suplexes and some actual grappling, and I was like, okay, cool. And then it was like, this is boring. I need to go land over there from the middle of the ring.
There.
Okay.
Oh, good. Okay, so this match was not the main event because there was some other crazy stuff, but this is the match I know that basically sold you on the show.
I went.
Which, understandable. I would have bought tickets for this. So Mel got to see Minoru Suzuki versus Too Cold Scorpio.
Which was
in 2022. Because 2022.
It was, I don't know, it was super fun because, I mean, two legends in the ring is how they sold the match.
Right.
And
as they should.
I don't know if every single person in there is like, I'm such a purist. Minoru Suzuki is basically the reason I signed up for New Japan World.
Sure.
Not basically, he is.
Right.
I saw him on Access. He was one of the first ones, and he was doing his thing. And I was like, this guy. And then, of course, I told my friend who knew all about him. And I was like, okay, so I've been watching New Japan, and this guy is amazing. And my friend was like, yes. Suzuki-gun Ichiban.
Yes. What else can you say?
It's just, it is what it is, man. Yeah. And he's so great. Like, we went early because we wanted the whatever we could get. And, I settled for the GCW label one because it seems like the Japanese wrestlers never bring gear. They never seem to bring merch, or they they never seem to bring merch enough to satiate all of us, but it is what it is. But so they were doing pictures, and so my husband and I both got pictures with Suzuki.
Fantastic.
And I was able to like have the moment and
good. I'm so glad.
I got a quick moment with him to actually just like thank him, and it was hilarious because I've learned this. That Kushida incident actually taught me about it. It's like you can you're like, okay, in 3, 2, 1, I'm going past the handler. And you just go and you do it, and it works. I mean, not for everyone, and you got to do it in the right circumstances. Yeah. And I had actually bought him a pair of socks because I was
going to ask you, did you give him the socks?
I bought him I got some Detroit Tiger socks that were really, really cool. Like, actually, Bob picked them out. They were perfect. They had like the D on them, and
this mic is trying to try me.
I know, it's okay.
This is like the 12th time. It almost fell completely off. I'm trying to listen to Suzuki microphone. Listen.
Yeah, seriously. What's up with you?
How rude.
It doesn't.
But I got it. It didn't fall on the floor. I'm gonna move it a little bit. Maybe. Okay, let's try. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to upgrade and get one of the big ones that hang down. Or
I'm getting an arm one of these days too, so I can be cool like everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna look more professional.
We just didn't know. We didn't know that everyone was gonna love us so much.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah,
you plan accordingly.
So back to the socks.
So yes, so he. What did I do? Oh, socks. Sorry, you said socks, and I was like, what? So they were really cute, and I was able to give them to him, and he actually, it was like, here's me thinking everybody in the place is going to bring him a pair of socks. And it was like, I don't know if other people did that, but it seemed like it surprised him in like a good way. And it was very cool. So I had a very cool moment.
That's awesome.
Just like, oh my God, this is, don't mark out. Don't be a mark. But he was so nice. And it's like, great. And I shouldn't, but don't get any ideas, young lions. He is not nice.
No, he isn't. That's
He is
just a
not.
facade.
But it was really nice to get that moment and to get those pictures. And I'll show you both of them. Mine, I'm like making the funniest face ever.
Did I tell you? I don't think I told you about what happened when I was supposed to meet him in October. I don't know if I told you that story. I was supposed to. We got to the show really, really late because it was my mom's sister. Because she passed away not because of COVID, but she passed away during COVID. Yeah. So we had her memorial later, and it was the same day as Suzuki and PWX. And I was like, Nikki and I were like, we had already bought tickets. We were already like this was already happening. And so we were like, oh my God. And it was an hour. The venue was an hour away from where my aunt's memorial was at. And so Nikki and I got to the event. So we stayed for the entire memorial. We left maybe 15 minutes early, if that. And we got there at the second to last match. And so we had already bought the meet and greet things, and he did some before, but I talked to because I've known the owner forever since I've been going forever. So he knew the situation. Like I had messaged him like previously. I was like, hey, we have this. And he's like, clearly he's like, that's you've got to go to your aunt's memorial. Like we'll make it happen. You can meet him afterwards. So the show, obviously he main evented, and then the show was over. So we waited a few minutes because we're like, oh, he just wrestled. We're going to give them a few minutes. And Brian's doing his thing. And then we track him. We actually sent James Drake because I couldn't find Brian left. And so James Drake is, I've known him for like 6 or 7 years. And we were talking to him, and I had told him, what was happening. And like what we were doing and who we were looking for. And he's like, all right, let me go try to find him. He's gone for like 5 or 10 minutes, and he comes back, and I was like, I could just see the look on his face, and I was like, oh no, this is not good.
Uh-oh. Suzuki
had left because he had an early flight because he had a show the next day. It was because this was a Saturday night. The show was on Sunday, and he had left to go to the airport, and Brian could not get him in time. And so I did not get to meet Minoru Suzuki I'm glad I got to see him wrestle. I got the Kaze Ninare experience, which of course was worth the price of admission on its own. But yeah, so, and I felt bad because he sent James to be the one to tell me and my sister. And I felt so bad for him because I knew that Brian was like,
I can't break their heart. Somebody else
they're
do
like,
it.
They like you. They'll forgive you. They won't yell at you. They'll yell at me, but not you. So poor James had to be the one to tell us that Suzuki had left, and he took a few pictures with some of the wrestlers that were there, and then I guess he like showered and peace out, which I can't blame him. He had an early flight. He's a busy man. He's got, I swear to God, me and this microphone are gonna fight in a minute. You're gonna have a GCW match for this microphone in a minute. But yeah, so I'm hoping so I'm hoping that while he's in the US, which I don't know when he's going back to Japan, so even if whenever he comes back, I hope he makes it to Charlotte, and Nikki and I put it out in the universe that we are gonna meet Suzuki one way or another at some point.
It'll be better.
Yeah, and
it'll be the right way.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, at some point we will get to meet him, and that's what we're holding on to. Is that Suzuki has to come back. Because we told Brian, we're like, you have to book him again. That's what this means. Like, he has to
for him. Oh yeah.
Wow, now you have to sell some tickets for people to come see Suzuki. I don't know how you're gonna do that and make sure. I was like, this time I was like, we're gonna get there early and we're gonna be like the first ones in line or something. But yeah, but I'm really glad that you got to see him because that's awesome. And it sounds like he was really touched by the gift that you gave him. So that's really awesome. Wow, I'm glad that you did that. Now I'll have to keep an eye on
talk to you. I have to tell you this though, because I've got to give a shout out to the group that when he was actually wrestling Too Cold Scorpio, who got a murder grandpa chant going.
Wait, and Too Cold Scorpio got it going?
No, there was a group during the match
that
got a murder grandpa chant started, which was so great. And it happened at just the right moment because there was like kind of like a down moment. where it actually got a smile off of Suzuki. He actually smirked, so he like must he
I was gonna say
it.
somebody must have explained to him what that means.
He must have picked up on what people were even, and then towards the end of the match, then it started to be because you get a couple both these guys chants and everything.
Yeah,
but towards the end, it was like, wait a minute, murder grandpas. And it was
you gotta put an S, a plural on that.
There's both of them. They're both in there. So it was
Murder Grandpa versus Murder Grandpa.
It was
fantastic.
A lot of fun. And
and I heard, because I know that Too Cold Scorpio, like, he always has, like, somebody was talking about how his entrance in GCW is always just, like, they're always so blown away by it because he seems to really enjoy it and the fans seem to really love it. And so I'm glad that Too Cold Scorpio gets gets some of the love that he gets, especially, and he's getting his flowers now. So I'm glad to see that people really still love to see him doing what he does. And I'm sure that was a dream match for him. Like, can you imagine? They're like, hey,
I think that's
do you want to wrestle Suzuki?
No,
I mean, maybe it was his, or maybe it was his idea. Maybe he's like,
here's
bring
my
me
Suzuki picture. I didn't show up there. I did actually get a halfway decent picture of him doing.
He moves fast. Like sometimes I think I had some blurry stuff from the pictures I took because he's got some speed on him.
He really is a professional. Like at the end of the day, it's like you watch him and you watch what he does, and it's because I was like, how many times am I going to get this opportunity? So I was pretty riveted. I mean, this is the guy that got me into it. I love his matches. Oh, I got the chop. Everyone was being loud, and it was like, he's going to land a chop. He's going to land a chop. And blessedly, there were wonderful people in there, and they're all like, shh. So they got everybody calm and fuck down. So you got, it was so great. It was everything I could have hoped for and more.
I'm glad.
It lived up to all the hype that I would have expected. It was totally worth it. All these other great things that happened, but it was like,
well, again, that's what you're going for. So that's the one thing that you want to be better than everything else, because it's what especially when it's a thing like Suzuki, who, yes, he is getting it's getting a little bit easier for us to be able to see him live, but to be able to like really experience that. And because that was the same thing.
It's different when it's indie. I think we all know that.
For sure. So getting to see him, because I saw
meet your heroes, folks. Meet them.
I got to see him against Anthony Henry, and it was fantastic. And he like chopped him and dropped. I think Anthony Henry's soul left his body, and it's fun. Sorry,
sounded Anthony. Even better than it sounds on the freaking audio.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so beautiful.
All right. So I guess we'll move on to a couple of the other matches. So then there was Hoodfoot versus John Wayne. And that what it is, John is JWM is what they call him. It's John Wayne Murdoch, right? I believe is what it stands for. I should know. I've only seen him a handful of times. Actually, not even a handful. I think I've only seen him twice. But he wrestled Hoodfoot, and I know that this was a death match. there was weapons and pain. I think this is the one that had the pane of glass against the wall, right? Is this the match that had that?
Yeah, there was one pane, Sam. There was only
just one. Well, they were talking about how it was like in an odd place, and they were like, "Who would put a pane of glass
there was one against the stage."
I think, okay. So I think this was the match that I saw people talking about last night.
I love how they just it was. Brett Lauderdale just said, as you've noticed, because they're just bringing out light tubes and they're bringing the whole thing out. I'm like, oh, here we go. Here comes the big bunch. And I was like, all right, whatever. And he's like, as you can see here, we've brought out the fuckery. So if you don't want to be here, then, he was just like, all right. And I'm like, all right, at least he gave people,
I would need that kind of warning, just because it stresses me out.
Well, and it was weird. And those things make a much different sound in real life than you would even the popping noise. I was like, this is like the worst party popper I've ever heard in my life. And also because I've watched a little bit of like some Brody and Abdullah because just, watch it. I had total like shades of Abdullah when they're like doing the scraping of anytime I see somebody scraping a thing across a guy's head, it's like Abdullah the Butcher and like, and I mean,
Yeah.
this is just, there's actually a history of deathmatch types, bloody, because big time wrestling here, Bobo Brazil and the Sheik used to love to do that kind of crap.
Yeah.
Went on all the time. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm being part of historic Detroit wrestling scene now.
Right.
And it wasn't. I actually enjoyed it way more than I thought I would.
That's good.
I mean, I'm not like, oh my God, yes, just the blood. But also at the same time, I was like, all right, I'm watching something I've never seen before. They're going for it. They were not lying about what they do and how they do it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to watch the glass turn into like sand around the side. Like, I mean, I feel bad for the refs. I'm like, there's no glove that's really going to help you out with that.
That's true. That's a very good point. Yeah.
I mean, I think about weird things, I guess. I mean, and then there kept being panes of glass. I was like, wait, are they bringing out another pane of glass?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
And they did that match, and then they did like the call out, and then they did more, and there was more glass.
Just in the Hoodfoot and JMW match? Jeez.
Yeah, because they called each other out about challenging each other, because which one has won it multiple times? The Ultra Violence Championship.
John Wayne Murdoch, I think.
Okay,
I could be wrong. Like I said, I've only seen a handful of times.
And he wanted to have a match right now. And Hoodfoot was like, you made me chase you around for months to do this, so I'm not doing that. And so we're not doing that. And then we're going to have another death match.
Of course. And then you got another match after that was Alex Colon versus AJ Gray. And Alex Colon is one of the first in GCW, one of the first death matches I saw with them. And that match stressed me out. And it was one of the things where Alex threw a dart into his opponent's back multiple times. So I'm literally watching the match like this because I was like, this is stressful. What is happening? And it's just like dangling from his back. This is his opponent's back. I was like,
there was way less of that and way more just like, there were about 38 chair shots in this match. Course.
I mean,
right. I was like, are they using the same chairs or are those different chairs? Like it was,
their chair budget has to be insane.
Yeah, well, and I think that these may be Japanese chairs because they seemed a little harder than your average. That was, like the Japanese table. I was like, that's a lot of chair shots. I mean, a lot. And this was a little more of the same. I mean, this didn't stand out at this point because it was, there's so much that happened and all the stuff that happened.
It was interesting that they put those matches back to back.
Yeah.
Like I saw that when I was following along. I was like, why are they putting that? Yeah, it seemed a little
kind of buried the second match a little bit.
Yeah, I was like, this is the death match portion of the show, I guess.
and I know that there were challenges for titles and stuff that I didn't fully understand.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, the AJ Gray was defending his Extreme Championship title.
So it was like, yes, the Extreme Violence. And then there was like a TNT title match in there as well. And I was just like, okay. I mean, it just kind of, it was like, are we going to wrap it up and start setting up the, scaffoldings or whatever now? Right. So it's
it seemed like it was kind of interesting that they kind of put those 3 matches on to close the show. It was that seemed interesting.
Yeah, but it came back with the scaffolding match because I'll be honest with you, it was pretty darn good. So I guess we'll go ahead and go into the scaffolding match then. So this match was
the Briscoes versus two members of the Second Gear crew, who are, one of the bigger factions in GCW. And so it was Mance Warner and Matthew Justice.
Okay. I knew you would know.
Yes.
I was like,
so Mance Warner, for
it's
people
not like they give you a card or something.
No, yeah, and Mance Warner is like this his character is very like 90s WCW, and it works for him. He's very good at it. It's great. And him and Matthew Justice, like the matches I've seen with them, I enjoy them as a team.
And do you know, I mean, so it was exactly the Briscoes are great. There was plenty of blood in this match.
Of course.
I can't remember which Briscoe was the one that was bleeding harder. But they put each other through tables.
Mm-hmm.
They ran around the ring. They beat the ever-loving fuck about each other.
Yeah, because it was something like that. It was like a high intent or something.
They called it a high incident match.
I was like, I don't know what that means, but it sounds violent and bloody. And
there's no wrestling in this kind of thing. It's all about they occasionally will just like choke slam each other. I mean, it's that kind of thing where it's like
where they're choke slamming, but they're choke slamming like through tables and
or just like straight onto the freaking ground, like on the mat, off the mat. I mean, there was well, first of all, there's no ring because you're talking about, and just again, let me throw up that picture since it's been a bit since
show that
because I want
scaffolding for people who
this is what it was set up like. So you had the scaffolding on each side there.
Right.
I think it ultimately was 3 levels of table. And then the cross thing, it's a ladder that's running across.
Yeah, I see that. That's insane. And then there's there's a bunch of tables in the middle of the ring.
And the rule was that you had to be put through a table to be the winners had to put the losers through a table.
Okay.
Any table. But they had to get put through a table. And I think it had to be from the scaffolding. I think that was how they involved the scaffolding. So it was like, okay. Well,
sure, why not?
I mean, what else am I going to say about that? So they spent the ensuing 30 minutes trying to put each other through tables from scaffolding. And lots of tables broke. There was a big shenanigans in one of the corners there.
Mm-hmm.
Big beat down. They started having to throw the busted tables out of the ring because I was like, what happens if you run out of tables?
Glass panes? I don't know.
Maybe.
This is now a glass pane.
Because I started to think about, wait a minute, that's a lot. They keep getting each other through the table, but it's not through from the scaffolding, or they were on the scaffolding, but they didn't get them all the way through the. And so what ultimately ended up happening, and I don't know if you caught the finish on this or not.
I don't know. I don't think I saw I think when I saw the gifts last night, I don't know if what I saw was the end or not.
The finish was a bit of a swerve.
Ooh.
Everybody was up on the ladder and the tops of the scaffolding.
Uh-huh.
And one member of each team went off the ladder at the same time and went through the tables at the same time.
Of course.
And so it was ruled it was ruled a draw because they both went through the ladder.
Because now that you say that, I was like, I don't think that I actually saw who the winners of this match was, and I guess that's why.
I think that the GCW fan base were the winners.
Which right. So I was like, do we get so how do they, I was like, clearly there's going to be some sort of a rematch, I would assume. So I'm like, did they do another scaffolding, or did they jump off of, did they find some other equipment to jump off of?
I was like, how does that, I was like, wait, because I was almost mad a little bit. I was like, that's the finish? How dare, I was like, that's draw was the finish.
Yeah, that is kind of, yeah, I can see that might be a little disappointing.
Well, it was, I mean, I don't have anything invested in this. I was like, calm down, Mel. This isn't like, you know,
Right.
like, it's not a count out in G1 or something. Relax.
Yeah.
Like, it's,
Right.
you're fine. You're fine. You'll be all right.
Yeah. So what did you think about your first GCW show overall?
So here's what I would say. If the card was stacked like this card, I would definitely go. If it was more of a standard run-of-the-mill every day, like this is our regular roster GCW show, I don't think that I would find myself going.
They seem to be bringing in now that people can travel more. They seem to be bringing in like a lot of people. Like I know that like they use Blake Christian pretty often. Like when they get him, they're trying. Actually, I don't know if you've heard because I don't know how closely you follow GCW. So Blake Christian wants Johnny Gargano. That has been, so he has said he wants it. Johnny tweeted something about like, if you want it, okay. So then I know the show in Cleveland the night before, apparently, from what Matthew was saying, because he watched that show, he was telling me that, so Blake basically, I don't know what move it was, he did one of Gargano's moves in the match, and then afterwards apparently got the crowd to chant Johnny Wrestling, and he was like, do you hear them? So they're definitely planting the seeds, and it seems like it's probably going to happen. And then Matthew pointed out they have a show the same weekend in Vegas as Double or Nothing. So that
makes sense.
I assume that that's probably the show it's going to happen on, especially because Johnny has been very much where, you know, he's enjoying being a dad. He wants to wrestle on the indies again. He wants to kind of just go here and there. He doesn't really seem to have a set plan as far as like joining AEW. Like I could see maybe he is eventually going to join AEW. I think he probably eventually will, but it sounds like right now he just was like, you know, I was in WWE for this long. I want to, the indies scene has changed a little bit. There's new faces. There's new people I want to wrestle. I want to be a dad. I don't want, you know, I want to be able to pick and choose my dates. You know, Candace is, you know, she's still at home. Like I get, you know, so I think that Johnny's doing like, it's really cool what he seems to be doing. And I hope we see him more often. I would love to see him.
He's essentially taking paternity leave, and that's perfect.
He should. Yeah.
And he should. Yeah. They all should. I think that I've liked that a lot of the wrestlers
Hangman,
have done
like,
that.
Hangman left in one of during the biggest run of his life.
Yeah, to the point that people were like, you shouldn't finish up the storyline that you built for 2 years. And it was like,
but that's but that's part of it. Like, I mean, clearly be a dad. Like, but I think that just adds more to the Hangman character, that this man loves wrestling so much, but he wants to be there for his kid. Like, I think that's a kind of, you know, a cool thing that they did. And I think, especially because we don't see that much in wrestling, it's not a storyline where they build in a paternity leave into a storyline, really. And so that's why people were like, oh, Johnny's going to show up at this. And I was like, no, he said like 28 times. Like, if you listen to him, he wants to be there when baby wrestling is born. And so he's
baby wrestling.
That's what he was. That's what they were called. Baby wrestling.
Of course they were.
Yes. So baby wrestling is here. And, you know, so I do, you know, I would love to see, I mean, of course I want to see.
It took you out. I think that thing is like got beef with you.
I hate this microphone. I just want you to know. Gigi is the one who recommended this thing.
She blew up his spot. Blah, blah, blah.
No, and it's probably, I'm sure it's a fantastic microphone. I probably just have one that's like, I don't know when to say defective, because it falls constantly. Like, it's literally just sitting here on the table doing nothing, and it falls. Like, I won't even be connected to it. Like, I'll set it up like while and like go do other things before the show, and it will just fall. So I think maybe there's a ghost in here. Maybe it just, I don't know.
It took me a while to get, like, I used to have the same problem, but it was with my ring light, and it was like,
so if you just, I might just hold it, because
I
don't know what it's doing.
I will always sing into the microphone.
I'm just gonna start holding it like this.
Oh, that's loud. No.
Yeah. Don't want to do that.
But that's cute. It would be cute. You could be like a comedian or something. Or just a wrestler.
Yeah.
And hold it like this.
Yeah, that's going to be...
And then when you make a point, you got to make sure and drop it.
Like, everybody loves the Acclaimed. And then drop it. And then say mic drop. And instead of saying mic drop, I'll just actually drop it.
Yo.
But yeah, so anyway, my point is Johnny Gargano should go to GCW and he should wrestle Blake Christian.
And I am totally down with that.
And then if he wants to go to be in like the G1 or BOSJ or whatever, then he can do that too, because I love Johnny Gargano and I will watch him wherever he goes. I don't care where he goes.
I mean, he's great.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
They're great. Both of them. I love them. So
yes,
I'm happy for
them. I guess we will go to the yeah, I am too. The other big thing that happened this week.
Yeah, we have to put it in our
yeah, so there was so this was kind of the Tony Khan once again had a huge announcement. Seems like those happen pretty often, but generally, you know, they tend to be pretty huge. They tend to live up to the billing, you know, buying for some people, they're like, ROH isn't buying them is not a huge announcement. Yeah, it is.
I mean, it is a pretty huge announcement. Like, whether you agree with him doing it or not is not relevant to the fact that
and it seems like the people who wrestled in ROH, like CM Punk, are extremely happy that somebody like Tony is the one who owns their footage, and it's not going to be on Peacock.
Yeah, well, exactly.
So anyway, this announcement was, the rumor was started like a couple weeks ago. It started leaking that maybe we were going to get a dream show basically of AEW and New Japan working together. And then the date came out and everybody was like, well, that's a Thursday, so that doesn't make sense, especially because it's not like it's Impact in New Japan. And then we got a correct date. And so the big announcement was that Tony Khan came out on Wednesday and he brought Obari with him, who was the president of New Japan. And they were talking, and it wasn't actually them who made the announcement. It was Adam Cole.
And Jay White.
And Jay White, yes. Yes. They announced the show Forbidden Door because, I mean, what else are you going to call it?
When they said the name of it, I was like, you guys.
Of course, they have to.
Guys. Because I really think it was important, I don't know how much the Japanese fans aren't going to care about it, but I do think it was important for them to see the president out there as much as it was to see Tony Khan out there.
And it's funny because
it was kind of important for me, because if it had just been Tony and Jay White, I would have been like, sure, but so I felt a little better. Yeah. And I think it was also important to bring Obari out because we know that when Harold Mage was there, he was we can talk a lot about his presidency in New Japan, but you know, he was super pissed off at Tony Khan, and he was really pissed off at the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, and he was an unprofessional. He handled everything about that situation unprofessionally. Yeah, and that's it. Super unprofessionally. Because somebody brought up the thread, like, because the Young Bucks tweeted. I missed it, but there's an account that will tweet what the Young Bucks bio is. They tend to be a little petty, which is funny. But so they tweeted something yesterday. Yes, but they're living rent free in your head. Of course. But yeah, so they tweeted something funny yesterday, and it was referencing how like they were going to be there from day. Let me see if I can find the actual tweet. I think I've got it right here because we were sending it in the group chat yesterday. So the Young Bucks said, hey, remember when we tried to get them on board day one and they waited till the dinner table was completely set first and also didn't give us a proper send-off with a laugh cry face. So you're winning. Cut it out. So in the thread, there was somebody had pointed out that there were the rumors. Well, Kenny
I guess I think he even talked about like how he had a hard time getting back into Japan to go wrestle for DDT after all this. Like you said, Harold Mage was very unprofessional about the things that he was doing. And so he basically killed any type of relationship that they could have had. Like, I mean, I get it to an extent. Like, all your top draws just left. Clearly there's Okada and Knight, the top.
All your biggest foreign talent, which is
Yeah.
a big part of your company,
Right.
just decided to leave your company.
Right. But they were going to try to make it where your talent could come in and wrestle and things like that. And Harold was like, no, I'm mad at you. This isn't happening. So anyway, so they did not have like a relationship at all. And even Tony I was on a media call with him a couple of months ago, and somebody was asking like how the relationship with New Japan is now. And he was like, they hated me in the beginning. He was like, they did not like me. And he's like, so I had to prove myself to them that I wasn't trying to ruin them. I wasn't trying to do anything bad. I was just trying to run a wrestling company, and I want to have a wrestling company where we can bring in whoever we want and give fans these matches that they want to see so bad. And so I think it seems like Obari really understands that, like that wrestling is like, you can still be your own company. Like nobody is trying to replace New Japan because it's impossible. Like that's not ever going to happen. WWE is probably not ever going to be replaced either. AEW is not trying to do that. Both of them are just trying to give alternatives.
They're trying to build a product for the future that's an alternative to WWE.
Right. So that
you're not going to replace them.
And that's never been their intent. I know that there are some WWE fans who are convinced that that's their intent, but it's not. It's an alternative, which they've said from day one. Like, it's just to give fans something different, and it's a different way of wrestling. It's a different way of doing things, and you can watch it or you can't. I mean, or you don't. Whatever. But so I think having Obari out there kind of solidifies that, okay, their relationship is good now. New Japan and AEW are cool with each other. This is going to be an equal, I think that's the thing, is it's got to be an equal thing, because I think some people kind of look at the Impact stuff with New Japan and it's a little unbalanced, where all these people are kind of getting sent into Impact, or they were, and then they weren't. And then like Impact was sending a bunch of their guys over there. And then like they weren't really getting, I guess, the benefit out of it. And so it just seemed like their deal kind of, I don't want to say fell apart, but it just the way they were running things seemed a little different. So I think maybe this time, hopefully it's going to, so I guess because I know it does kind of affect Impact with whatever New Japan and
it impacts them a lot.
Yeah.
Except that they have TV. And this is something that everybody like needs to remember. Tony, other than for AEW in America, the way that it is, like, has no TV for that to show New Japan on, and to potentially make a deal for ROH has no television right now. Like,
and they're trying to get that straightened out.
You need to probably going to need to get some ROH on TV somewhere.
Yeah.
Impact has a deal with Access.
Yeah.
And they're already showing New Japan. Maybe that's something that you don't want to, like, you still probably need to be pretty careful about it, I guess I would say. It's like, even if it's I know Access is so obscure. It's like,
but I think it's Access
TV.
And Access is still seen more than it was when it was on when it was like been on other channels and stuff. So it seems like Access is a little bit more available to people. And then New Japan's even got the Roku deal, because Roku has on the free channel, they have an hour-long show where I don't think I've watched it before, but because I would just forget about it. But they kind of like recap things that have happened. Like, I guess, I don't know how up to date it is. Like, so I don't know if they've like I assume they have like recapped the New Japan Cup, especially because the New Japan finals just aired on Access last Thursday.
They're keeping up pretty good.
And so I think Roku is kind of on that too. So New Japan is doing their best to kind of get in different places. They're getting in with Roku. They're on Access, and it's right after Impact, so it leads right in from that. So I think
I usually end up doing, because I'm watching Impact.
Yeah, they're in a good spot. I mean, could they be in a better spot? Probably, but they're still new-ish to the American, to at least the TV audience. I mean, obviously there's a lot of us who subscribe to World, but to the people who don't watch New Japan enough where they're going to pay $9.99 a month just for something that they don't really know, this is a really good way to display that. I mean, especially when you're putting like the New Japan Cup finals on TV for free. And yeah, it's a month afterwards, but I mean, if you're not watching World and not following along on Twitter, then, it's new for you. And I think that's great. And I'm sure,
I wouldn't have a New Japan subscription if it wasn't for Access. Having New Japan on there in the first place.
Yeah, and I think that it's reached, and it was off
the
TV.
Reality is that it being there, like even my mother-in-law who hadn't seen it in a while because she's not World subscriber was like, she'll watch After Impact now or go looking for it.
Yeah,
he's like, it's nice to see New Japan back on TV.
Yeah,
that audience is still there.
Yeah, because it was off TV for a little bit, and I'm really glad that they brought that back. And like you said, so there are people who it is bringing in people, or it's people on Twitter who have heard. Okay, they've heard of Okada, they've heard of Naito, they've heard of Will Ospreay, but they don't know where to go watch it. They don't, or they're not going to get up at 4 a.m.
They're not drawing brackets for the G1.
They are not. No. And so having access like that, I think that's really good. And then you have like Suzuki, where you have him have a freaking G1 match against Samoa Joe on national TV.
Right.
For free. Like, so they are getting, and then you have Jay White who comes on your TV and you're like, oh, I've seen that guy on Impact. And now what is he doing over in AEW and stuff like that? So I think it's really smart. And so I think Obari, getting back to where this was all going, was, I think it was smart to have Obari out there. Like you said, it wasn't just Tony and Jay White. And it was cool to kind of have Adam, because Adam is former Bullet Club. And then now he's Undisputed Elite, and Jay made sure,
clearly starting something.
Yeah, because Jay made sure to say this is about, because the fans
Mega Bullet Club.
Oh my God, yeah, the fans
Dynamite Club,
who now have Scott Norton, who's the only member of NWO, and now he's Bullet Club. But yeah, so the fans were,
colors are close.
The fans were chanting too sweet when Jay White was out there, and then he kind of like smiled and then kind of shushed them and was like, all right, I'm the heel here.
I'll do the talking.
And then he was like, and he said it's about Undisputed Elite and Bullet Club, so they're clearly leading to something for that show. So there's been obviously a lot of talk about dream matches, and I actually wrote an article for Daily DDT in 2020 because somebody had asked CM Punk, I guess, like what he was watching or who, something like that, and Will Ospreay's name came up. And so, of course, Will ran with that. And so that became kind of like a dream match type scenario. And so I wrote an article about it. And so that came up. A lot of people have said they want to see Okada versus CM Punk. That's a really big dream match. Some people who are familiar with this is the match that I really want to see. This is not part of my list, but this is the match I really want. Was at Spring Break 4, Joey Janella Spring Break 4. We were supposed to get Minoru Suzuki versus Orange Cassidy.
Ooh.
Then the pandemic happened, and we didn't get that match. And so that's been a match. Every time Suzuki is back in the United States, people tweet, we're owed this match. We still want this match. Like it needs to happen.
I mean, you're owed that match. I'm owed Okada Kenny 5 because if that jerk hadn't gone and joined another, he won the belt and then joined another. I bought those tickets. I bought them. He was going to be the champion, and there was going to be an Okada Omega match in Madison Square Garden. I got Jay White selling out Madison Square Garden single.
Don't you forget it.
You know what's funny about that? I have to tell you only because Bob looked at me and he was like, why is Jay White out there? And I looked at him and said, because he single-handedly sold out Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, exactly.
And he said it.
Yeah, of course. I think Tony kind of like rolled his eyes like, you idiot.
He's stuck with that line for so long that I have to give credit. I love Jay White. He's one of my favorite heels in the world. I love
he's
the kid.
Fantastic.
He actually did put on a really great match with Okada at Madison Square Garden in some very weird circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
After like, and I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of us bought those tickets with the fact that there was not AEW wasn't when those tickets went on sale.
Yeah, we all thought, because
AEW
I
was
had
kind of
tickets to
a
that
dream. It was dreamy,
right?
you
And
know?
I had originally had tickets to those shows, and I think I don't remember if I know I've told you about it. I can't remember if we talked about it on here, but
Yeah,
I ended up having to let them go. But part of the reason we got those tickets was because of that, because we thought that that's what was going to happen, even though New Japan never said that we were getting it. It was the assumption.
I'm pretty sure that's what would have happened.
Yeah, probably. And so there was like some Enzo and Cass bullshit too, but whatever.
Maybe we'll get some in the not too distant future. We'll get some like Kenny and
yeah, I keep seeing people asking if Kenny is coming back. I don't think Kenny will be here for the show. I don't know that I don't think he's
I don't expect
I don't think that he's even had, because the last like update he gave was because of COVID, it was pushing things off. He was trying to let some things heal on their own. He still had not had hernia surgery, and that was like the lot, because he was saying, he's like, I could go wrestle now at like 80%. But if I injure it even worse, I'm going to miss even more time. And so he was like, I'm not going to do it. And so as far as everyone knows, Kenny has not had surgery on that hernia yet. And so until that happens,
with the kinds of injuries that Kenny has is you can't just have surgery, because when you have back surgery and knee surgery and elbow surgery and all these things, they have to do you have to do physical therapy around that spot, or they can't do the surgery because it won't stick.
Exactly. And which is what he was
explaining. So it's not as easy as like getting your appendix out or something. I mean, these are not small surgeries, and they come with big, 8 months and 10
and that's what he was saying. Like after, like even after surgery, like if the recovery time was was it? I want to say it was like 6 months or something like that. I could be wrong.
Some of them are long recoveries.
And on top of that, he has vertigo that he's dealing with. Like this man was wrestling for like 5 years with vertigo. So like he's got a lot going on.
Kenny decided in the long term that this wasn't like his. I'm not saying that I think Kenny Omega's leaving wrestling.
No.
But if he decided in the long run that his like health and body were the reason like that he what was he needed to do to go forward, I would totally understand that. Given what he's done.
Yeah.
That's just, so that's just a random. I don't want no Kenny, but.
Yeah, of course. I love Kenny Omega. He's one of my favorites, but I want him to be healthy. So I want him to take his time. So if he's gone for another year, then so be it. Like, I just want him to come back healthy and when he's ready to go. Like, I don't want him, and I would hate for him to come back, get injured, and then have to start the process all over again.
Further.
Yeah. So I would rather him. So I don't think he'll be there. I assume Ibushi is not cleared either.
No, he's not.
And so Ibushi will not be on this show. But they don't have to have that, like, because everybody's like, oh, well, you have to have Omega versus Okada. You don't.
No, you don't. You only need to put Okada on the card. You don't need to worry about. That's what
people were saying. Like, as long as they put, like, they were saying you could have Okada, Naito, Ospreay, and there's somebody else that I can't remember who was mentioned. But then they were saying, like, you don't even have to have all 4 of them. Like, you can just have Okada on the card, or you can have Okada and Naito on the card.
I kind of need Tana on the card.
Well, yeah, and Tana, you have, he's like, he's like their John Cena. Like you have to have,
like Jeff had for people that have the Patreon Plus and can listen to the Dynamite show, Jeff had the perfect list of 5, and I wish I could remember them.
I purposely did not listen to anybody's list because I didn't want it. Not that it matters if it influences mine, but I just kind of wanted to go with stuff on and then go back and listen because I saw that I think Bruise News covered it too. So I purposely didn't watch it yet because I was like, I want to just, and I was like, maybe my matches, some of the matches that I came up with are, matches that other.
But it wasn't matches. It was the 5 people they needed on the card.
Okay.
For them to feel like
and see,
they're committed.
Right. And some people were like, I hope they don't. Oh, somebody responded to us and said that they hope that they didn't pack it with strong talent, which I get, but I don't. That's not to disparage the strong guys because they're, we love them and we praise their.
Can't just
no for the fans, especially for fans who are who don't watch New Japan the way that we do, you have to have the people that they hear about,
You
which
need
are
Tanahashi and you
yes,
need
Okada.
Okada,
You
and
need
Naito is huge in this because people love Naito
They
here.
do.
I'm not as big of a Naito fan as I love Naito, but
right.
Naito is way more over with everybody than he is with me personally.
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Naito's super. And that's what I've heard that
I
like
love the
he
guy.
was like really surprised like when he came to America a couple of years ago. He
people
was
love
so
him.
like blown
Love
away
him.
by how much fans loved him and like wanted to see him and were standing in line. And they said that I think there was like video of him or they were talking to him and he was just getting emotional because he didn't realize that he had so many American fans
That's awesome.
who would come see him basically.
Yeah.
So I think Naito is somebody that you have to have on this card. So I would like to see them. So I have
a dream match. I have a dream match. I haven't heard much about this dream match. So maybe it's just me, but
well, I want to hear it.
Bryan Danielson and Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah.
Damn it.
That's on my list, and I've seen other people have that one too, which it would be incredible to have that match. And so because I've seen other people list that match, I went a different route with Zack Sabre Jr. Right. I would like to see of course, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Danielson.
Of course, I love Zack. He's such a great wrestler.
Yeah, he's phenomenal.
Like up the list on my favorites right now.
Yeah, so I would say I would like to see him versus Wheeler Yuta or Lee Moriarty.
That would be a good match.
Yeah.
That'd be a good match for Lee Moriarty, not just with Lee Moriarty.
Right.
That'd be good for him. Right.
I mean, or make it a triple threat. I don't know how you can make a match like that, a technical match like that, a triple threat. But if they can figure out how to happen, I make that happen too. I don't care. Either way, I would like to or just put them all in the G1 and let Zack wrestle Bryan Danielson, Lee Moriarty, and Wheeler Yuta, and let me have all three. Let me be
Top Flight and the Acclaimed. And
I'm so sad for Darius Martin. I hate that he is injured again, and
oh man, yeah, I heard that.
And I really, because we talked about it. If they were going to send anybody to BOSJ from AEW, I wanted it to be Top Flight. So I hate. And even if they get Dante Martin involved on this show, I just would have loved to see Top Flight. I mean, and especially, just to see even like a tag match. So yeah, I would love. But yeah, ZSJ versus pretty much just about anybody. Yeah. Are there any other matches? Because I made a list.
I want your list. Give me your list.
So my list, other than Okada versus CM Punk, which I think would be phenomenal. I would like to see champion versus champion. I would like to see Okada versus Hangman, because Hangman is a different wrestler than G1 Hangman. He is more well-rounded. I think he's got even more experience under his belt. He's got the title now. He has a little bit more confidence than he had when he was just coming up. So I would like to see Okada versus Hangman.
Hangman's last match in the G1 was versus Suzuki, and he won. Mm-hmm. And it was a big win because it was an upset win.
Yeah.
And it was one of the best matches I've ever seen Hangman have. It sticks with me to this minute.
That's what I was going to say. That was the match that kind of put Hangman on the map, where people realized, he's not just some dude in Bullet Club.
Dude in hot jeans. He's not some,
right. He's not
some dude who wears the heck out of jeans better than just about everyone. He can actually wrestle.
Yeah, and he can. And so I think in that moment, he wasn't just like, not that he's on the, I mean, I think they were like, it's not just like, he's not just a friend of Kenny's or Cody or whatever, a friend of Cody's. He actually deserves to be in the Bullet Club. Mm-hmm. And so I think that match solidified that. And so I would like to see, with what Hangman has been able to do in the last 2.5, 3 years, I would like to see him and Okada obviously is at the top of his game. He's even better than he was 2 years ago. So I think that would be really cool.
Well, Hangman had that 60-minute with Bryan Danielson that was amazing.
Yeah. Exactly. And we've seen him do different kind of things. We've seen him do death matches and things like that. Yep. So another match I would like to see Hangman, and if we didn't get that, I would like to see Hangman versus Tanahashi.
I want to see everyone versus Tanahashi. Really.
Well, yeah.
No, I think that's a good idea.
No, but you're right.
Really
No, Tana is one of those people that like basically just put them on the card, and I don't care who they wrestle. I just
I think what it's when we do if we're gonna do Washington DC, we've got Moxley versus Tanahashi.
Yeah,
and that should be an interesting, totally different.
Yeah,
but it's not like Tana can't do it because he did like a similar thing with how different Chris Jericho was when he did
right.
all
Well,
that
even
stuff.
Look at the ladder match he did with Kenta. I mean, it wasn't a ladder match, but the match with Kenta that had a lot. Like I never really thought I wouldn't see because I just didn't really think about it. But Tana with ladders, and I was like, but he made it. That match was fantastic. Like I mean,
I don't want to see him on ladders because
well, yeah, because of his knee, but
he's
yeah.
But I want him. Yeah, but he could do.
But he could do something. I think him and Hangman
just
could
about anything.
Yeah, I think him and Hangman could have a really solid, like, I think they could have a really good match.
I wouldn't mind seeing him and like Orange Cassidy either.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah.
I think there would be some of that silliness and stuff. And I think Tana can do his like high five flow stuff that he does. But I still think that would be a really
it would be fun. And that's
Orange
the thing.
Cassidy can wrestle.
That's what I was gonna say. That's the thing. Orange Cassidy can go. We've seen it. We know that he can go. And
if he feels like it, he's like one of the best wrestlers out there.
If he tries.
So.
I will try. So if he tries, he could wrestle Tana. So also on my list is big meaty men slapping meat.
Yes.
In the form of Jeff Cobb and Powerhouse Hobbs.
Ooh. They can just do moonsaults on each other all night.
I don't care. That would be fine with
me. That's it. They can just do moonsaults and suplexes and oh my god, can you imagine that match?
Yeah.
Like, that would
insane,
be
right.
Even though it is two big men slapping meat, they're also like they do that thing where they shouldn't be able to, like, they look like they can land.
Could you imagine if he could put Powerhouse Hobbs in the Tour of the Islands?
No.
Can that even happen? Are we defying laws of, like, gravity?
Jeff Cobb's even, like, he's bigger than Keith Lee, who does that stuff, but there's time.
I'd like to, and I even thought about Keith Lee, but
Keith
I was like, that would be great, but I was like, just there's something, Jeff Cobb versus Powerhouse Hobbs, I think that's money.
I am a giant Jeff Cobb fan too.
Me too.
So, I mean, just giant.
Yeah. I would love that.
But he shouldn't be able to land on a penny when he's that size. And then almost like he almost sometimes lands like, right, you're not a ballerina, dude.
You're like
too big.
He's like, watch me.
It's amazing. That's a good one.
I really would like that one.
I'm into that.
Yes, this match they would have to. The next match that I have, well, I have two possible opponents for this person. One of them they would, I guess it depends on if they sign him or not, but I would like to see Haramu versus Dalton Castle.
Oh,
because I think their personalities would just be so much fun to watch. I mean, not even just like their styles, obviously, I think could go well together, but I just think their personalities, they're just so charismatic and unique, and I just think they would be a lot of fun together. So I don't know if that would happen just because I don't know kind of what Dalton Castle's status is. I'm still waiting for the All Elite graphic to drop, or just the ROH graphic, whatever it is. I'm still waiting for that. And then if they didn't get Dalton Castle, I would like to see Haramu versus Dante Martin.
Ooh, that would be great. Mm-hmm. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think Dante needs, because not that he obviously has really great opponents, but I think an opponent like Haramu would be somebody, and so that would be a BOSJ match. I could see if they were to put Dante in it. I think that they would have a meetup at some point.
Like,
so why not
like Haramu and like Phoenix or something? And
yes. Yeah, if Phoenix is back, which I think he sounds like he's coming back, because I think he was advertised for a show in Mexico.
He's out there. He's in.
Yeah, so I was like, has he been cleared? Like, so I assume he's been cleared. So yeah, if Phoenix is back, then yes, give me that match. Well, speaking of Phoenix, I would like to see his brother versus Shingo Takagi, so that we can have a Made in Japan off.
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny.
I really would like to see it. I want a Made in Japan off.
Those two would beat the crap.
Yes, they would. Which is why I want it. Besides the made in Japan,
like
I just
a 38-minute match of two men just beating on each other.
Yeah. I mean, who doesn't want to see that?
It sounds amazing. I'm not complaining. I'm like, yes, please.
So Tony Khan, if you're somehow watching this, I have a card for you.
You and everyone else. He's probably getting like, they probably have a dump email just for all that crap.
Probably. And then my last match that I have on here is probably an obvious one, and this would be a G1 match as well, but it's Samoa Joe versus Ishii.
Oh, yeah.
So more big men beating on each other.
Yeah. You're never going to get any argument from me on any of that. Just so you know. I'm always in for that. If it's chops or big men beating the crap out of it, I mean, and they've got so many wonderful people in the position to do it.
Yeah. So I was like, whatever matches they can give it. Like, I have a really hard time thinking that this card will be disappointing or let anybody down. Because even if you're looking at it on paper and you're like, I don't know, I think they're going to just deliver. They're going to go.
They're going to have to. I mean, they don't have a choice.
And I think there's going to kind of be maybe a little bit of competition. Like, New Japan's going to want to go out on cylinders. They're kind of want to maybe show up AEW a little bit, and AEW is going to kind of want to show them up a little bit. Like, so everybody's going to bring like their A game. They're all going to like
fighting spirit style competition versus I mean, I just like my first thing that I thought of that really was a thing was that like I think it was the Noah and New Japan show was like people liked it, but also like there was less interest in it than there should have been. And this is different, obviously, because of all the things. There's so many
because this is basically, we assume we're just going to get dream matches. Like, they don't have.
But I don't want it to be like that, where it's like, and I don't think that there's any possibility that
I don't think unless they have, I guess depending on who wins,
you'd have to phone it in, really. I mean,
I'm assuming there's not going to be any title matches on this card unless the IWGP, the US title maybe is on. So even if I feel like this show is more or less just dream matches and showcasing different talent and giving the fans what they've been wanting for the last few years. I mean, I'm sure. Well, and I'm sure, I'm guessing we're probably going to get the Bullet Club match versus, Undisputed Elite. So they'll have to pick which 10 of the Bullet Club can be in this match because there's so many of them. They have to pick which 10 can make the cut. I mean, because obviously, and then, now you have the stuff where because GOD's not in it, so they could bring in, GOD could have a tag team match. We've seen the Young Bucks. I mean, clearly you have to have, but I mean, they'll be in the Undisputed Elite match, so never mind. They're not going to be in their own match. But yeah, so there's so many different possibilities and there's so much good talent on both sides that it would be hard to have a match that's going to be bad.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people have probably set their standards extremely high and they will probably find something to complain about because it's wrestling Twitter.
Of course.
But for most people, I think it's going to be something that probably lives up to expectations. Certain matches will exceed expectations. I expect at least one match of the year contender on this card. And then I don't know, because then after that, G1 I think starts like a couple of weeks after.
It's really close.
Yeah, they basically are going to probably wrestle and maybe they'll have a few film some stuff.
There could be some storyline. Yeah, micro storyline stuff.
Yeah, and it seems like that's why I kind of wonder if maybe they will do a little bit of strong stuff because they can have because Kenta has already tweeted that he wants GTS versus GTS, so he wants, and that makes sense because Kenta is here. They can do stuff, or maybe we don't get this match and Kenta interferes or something, and then that sets up Kenta versus CM Punk. Will CM Punk have the title by then? I don't know.
But there's two huge pay-per-views coming. One is Double or Nothing for AEW. The other is Dominion for before all of this stuff
Yeah,
comes
and so
out,
there could be
so.
some
I mean,
AEW talent flying into
big
the
deal.
I could see AEW talent flying in for that.
I hope
Kind
so.
of setting up something, or at least doing the video messages like John
Free the
Moxley was doing.
fans.
I would assume that they're most. I guess it wouldn't. I guess Jericho probably will be involved in this because he's kind of the one who kicked this thing off when he went when the Painmaker came, and
Bob said to me the other day, because he noticed he was getting in better shape all of a sudden, and he actually said to me that he's going to Japan. I was like, you think? He's like, look at him. Look at
he's got. I think that's part of it. He did have some health problems when he was touring over in
and he got sick and things like that.
So I think that's part of it. But yeah, he's in New Japan shape.
He's getting in New Japan shape.
I could see him going to be in G1. Maybe he takes Daniel Garcia with him, which would be fun. That would be fun. I'd like to see Daniel Garcia versus Zack Sabre Jr. would be a good match. That would be.
We could do this forever.
Yeah, we could. And so they could do some strong stuff, or maybe these matches end up on strong. So I don't think this will be a one-off. I don't know how frequently they'll happen, but I think that it will lead to some other storyline stuff. I don't think this is just like a ratings grab or a tickets grab. Like I think they're going to do some more stuff with it.
They hope so, because they kind of have to.
Yeah, and I think they seem to be in a place now where they're building that relationship. And like I was reading, there's a guy I follow on Twitter who has been he's been watching AEW on World, and he translates like each week they've had somebody on commentary, and so this week it was last week he was translating it last night, but it was last week's Rampage, and it was Despy was on commentary, and like he was talking about Lance Archer and like how he couldn't believe like some of the stuff, and he was very impressed with Wheeler Yuta because he had seen Yuta on Strong, and he was like, now he's with the American Dragon, like, and he's not like getting overwhelmed, like he's like not getting overwhelmed, he's not losing his cool or anything. The fans are really behind him. Like he was, from what the guy was translating, like he was really over with it. So it seems like because they're on World too, I think that, you know, that's obviously going to lead to more stuff. And so I would expect some AEW people hopefully in BOSJ, but I definitely see them in G1, maybe in the World Tag League later on. They'll do something. So I think there's a lot of crossover. And then of course there's Strong, and we've seen Moxley on Strong. We've seen Swerve. Yeah. Swerve apparently was on Strong again last night. He wrestled Blake Christian.
Nice.
From what I saw, there's this one GIF that I've seen like 28 times of Blake Christian and something that he does with Swerve, and even Obari tweeted about it. So that seems like a big deal. So there's so many different possibilities. The only issue is, you know, there's not going to be any women on this show because New Japan doesn't have women wrestle. So unless they do a pre-show match. So I'm hoping whatever they do with DDT, that they get the women involved, because they've got to give the women something. They didn't do anything with the Impact crossover like they should have, especially when the women were calling for it. Like Deonna wanted it, Britt wanted it. They didn't get it. They're not going to get it here. So I think whenever the DDT stuff happens, they've got to get the women involved, and they've got to give them what they're giving them in, because it's not. So I'm hoping that that's going to be, that's something that they
TVSI owns Stardom now, right? So they could potentially do something with that as well.
Yeah, so definitely
at least maybe potentially through I know it wasn't very popular when they did the women's match at Wrestle Kingdom and all of that jazz, but I don't know. It at least like New Japan owns essentially, or at least it has a relationship with the television station that owns it. Maybe they can have because I was hoping with the women that are in AEW kind of
maybe. Well, and they've talked about how Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter both have wrestled in Japan. They were both champions. Yeah, and they brought this up recently, like as recently as 2 weeks ago. So it seems like they're kind of like they're acknowledging it. I'm hoping. And then Thunder Rosa had this stuff with Maki Ito that she has done before. So I think that is. That's something they've got to build on.
And then out of some strange or total fortune, just because it so happens that my Dynamite show is June 29th in Detroit.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so the first Dynamite in Detroit just happens to be the 29th of June, which just happens to make it the Fallout show from this pay-per-view.
How incredible is that?
So and I'm pretty sure I'm on the floor for it, so I'm gonna have like
oh wow.
God, I want to go. Like, so much of me wants to go.
Yeah, I really like, if I could go to any show, that would be. I mean, I really want to go to All Out, but like, man, this show, when it was announced, yeah, friends of mine, they went and looked up the ticket prices, and plane tickets were like $300 and $400 round trip, and it was, then they were like, that's not even hotel and tickets to the show and stuff like that. And it's kind of last minute. Like, we're not getting a whole lot of time here.
You guys should rent one of those little like trailers, and you could totally afford that. You could drive there and you sleep in that.
Yeah. Might have to bring that up to the group chat and do that, because then we talked about just getting to
stay at like a little campground outside the city, and then I'm pretty sure they have decent public transportation that would get you in and out once you're there. Once you're in Chicago, you can just walk around. It's a city. Yeah, exactly. So I think that we could. I'm just like, that was just weird. I'm weird like that.
No, like, it's good to know, because I think that they're I would really love to go to that. I think it would be a lot of fun to be in attendance for, just because, especially because we've gotten really, we both love New Japan. We've gotten back into Strong and things like that. So it would be cool. And it's a historical thing. It's their first thing that it's the first joint show, and hopefully the first of many. So, I hope that I'm really looking forward to this show.
I should have said, hiya back. So there's me, like, missing that there were comments. So
we got a couple of them right here.
And this one's good because this is the women's special. I agree.
100%. The women really need to get some love. They didn't get it. They haven't gotten it before. I mean, obviously they did the women's tournament with the Japanese side, but they've got to do more, especially because the Impact stuff really disappointed me, because I really thought we were going to have some women. Too. And so I want to, and that's not to take any away from the New Japan show. I think it's going to be phenomenal. But a lot of people who were like women's wrestling fans, they were like, well, what does that mean? That means that the women are going to be completely left out because New Japan doesn't have women wrestling.
Right.
And so the women are being left out once again in this really big, fun, exciting thing. So we know the DDT partnership is there. Like you mentioned, the Stardom.
ROH, Stardom.
Yeah, the ROH. So I really would love for them to bring Maria in to do stuff with the ROH and women's division, and to bring in the AEW, because she worked her butt off to get them back. And I would really like to see her get involved with that. Oh, and see, there we go.
Yeah.
So Maki
are in the US later this year, and also
so you would think that Shida and Emi Sakura would kind of
agree,
maybe be liaisons to make that happen. And I would love to see that. So thank you for letting us know that, because they definitely, because Maki, and from what I understand, Maki and Thunder Rosa have some unfinished business.
Nice.
So I would like to see that. Actually, I just want to see Maki again. I love her, and I'd like to see her just come be a menace on TV. So yeah.
I mean, I think the possibilities are wider with that. Yeah. And because there is the women's division in AEW, and there is so they might be able to draw the relationship that.
Right. And then it also seems like
because the Stardom too.
Right. And because Japan is kind of opening up, not necessarily for tourists, but they're opening up for workers, that, so if they're sending men over to New Japan, then they can send some women over to Stardom or to DDT.
Yeah, definitely.
And just get, do some kind of cross promotion, but they've got to do more with the women. And now that it seems that they've got these opportunities, they have to follow through on them in the same way that they are for the men. So I really hope that that's what that comes to. I hope we're not sitting here in 6 months having the same conversation about about how they're still struggling with the women's division. But I'm excited for the AEW New Japan show. I'm excited for New Japan's Capital. What is it? Capital
Collision.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't Clash. I was like, that's not right. I hope that's on Fight. Hopefully Fight got their shit together, because I really want to see that show. There's some good stuff. I saw yesterday QT said he just wasn't going to show up to face Carl Fredericks at the Philadelphia show. He said, I'll just no show. And Carl called it, I think Carl called him a wuss or a baby, or I think he called him a fucking wuss or something like that.
That's, I mean,
So yeah, so there's all this stuff
leading fits, man.
Right. And there's all this stuff leading into it. And Suzuki is wrestling QT on Dark this week. That's a match that was that happened.
It's crazy. The world is it's wide open for wrestling possibility.
It is. And so it's good to be excited and have things to look forward to, but also have some reality mixed in where you got to do something for the women. But I mean, I think it's fun. I think that this show will be really successful, which will hopefully lead to more cool stuff. And like we said, they kind of have some offshoots where maybe there's a title match, or maybe we get Kenta versus CM Punk. Even if it's not this show, maybe Kenta shows up, or there's definitely a lot of things that could happen. And there's only so much talent that you can put on one show. So you have to kind of follow these up to have them. And hopefully we get some AEW people in BOSJ and G1 and stuff like that. And,
they're kind of going to have to, because they don't have enough television and streaming at this point.
Yeah. Right. And then they got to get
have to trade. Otherwise, these guys will get no reps.
Some Ring of Honor talent over there too. I mean, I would like to see some of that. So yeah, there's a lot of things that they could do. It'll be interesting to see how they handle it. Like you said, it's an exciting time to be a wrestling fan, because I mean, look at the stuff that we had at GCW that you got to see last night.
Yeah, that's just last night, man.
Yeah,
it's like, I mean, this card hasn't even become like a reality yet.
Right.
I got to go just hang out and see a bunch of really good wrestlers.
Yeah, so that's awesome. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where things go with this, and I hope that I hope people just who want to complain just keep it to themselves. Let the rest of us enjoy it.
I avoid that part of
I do too. I know there was the person this week that was getting some. Actually, I don't even want to give them. Never mind. I don't want to give them any type of
shine.
Yeah, no, nothing. So so tell us on Twitter like what matches you're looking forward to seeing, what your dream matches are, what you hope comes out of this New Japan partnership, who you'd want to see in G1 or BOSJ. We like to be active on the Twitters, so
pretty active on the Twitter.
Yeah,
we got a compliment from Paul for being so active. So.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah. So hopefully we're not being super
annoying.
Like,
you girls are no, they like it. We're on
good.
Top
and then we've got and now you have your Instagram, and she'll put up some pictures. I still haven't put up some of my PWX pictures, which I need to, because I have Effie and I've got ACH pictures, and so I need to put that. So we've got some content that we can put out there that's not just on here. And we obviously we're live again this week. We're kind of testing that out and seeing if you guys are more fond of the live stream stuff, or you only want us to go live when it's a big show. And so kind of, if you can just let us know, do you like us doing live streams? Would you prefer for us to do a mixture of like pre-records and then do live for the big things? Just let us know what it is that you like.
Yeah, we're curious. We're just trying things out because we have a lot of fun coming on here.
We're a whole 9 episodes in. So
we're going to be 10th. Hey, next you don't week. Even joke. I made this point to my husband this morning that there are plenty of casts out there that pod fade after a couple. Like getting to double digits. I was like, 10 is exciting. I don't think 10.
So does that mean we have to live stream for episode 10?
We don't have to like get excited or anything like that. But it is it's a good thing. And we're getting a lot of feedback, and I'm actually thankful. We have a lot of people that do actually talk to us on our show.
Right. And we do appreciate that.
And the person that was being a ding dong, the person that sent it to us was like, I'm protecting these women right here who do not. I was like, no, honey.
I didn't even watch the video because I was just
it's fine.
I'm not giving him. I mean, I started to, and I was like, you know what? I'm not giving him the views. I don't. I don't
No,
give him.
not
He's
doing the
muted.
clicks.
He's muted on my personal account, so I was like, I'm not.
It was very much about.
But I do appreciate.
It was
them
very
looking out
much
for
about a friend of mine having our backs. And
I was gonna say I do
right
appreciate.
on, Winter.
I
Thank
do
you, man.
appreciate that. That's great, and we appreciate that. Thank you very much for that. So yes, so thank you for So thank you for supporting us for 9 episodes. We're gonna hit double digits next week. I don't know if we'll be live or not, but regardless, come celebrate 10 episodes with us next week. We're gonna just put up the Sean Spears 10.
Nice. No Steiner math though.
No, not yet. We're not there yet. We'll get there.
Gotta get to 12 for that. Or is it 11? Or is it 14? Never mind.
When
right.
we get to 63rd and 2/3% chance.
Okay. We better end this thing before it gets too far ahead.
Yes. And before people decide I'm not watching episode 10.
They were like, okay,
they're like, they had a good run at 9.
We were gonna like this. We were gonna smash subscribe. We were gonna comment on how much we liked you, and then it all went to hell.
Yes. So please come join us next week for episode 10, whether it's live or not. Come follow us on Twitter, personal pages too, which you can see right there. And on Powerbombshells, like I said, come tell us what you're watching. Tell us what you're excited about. Send us gifts. We like those too.
Gifts more than anyone.
So. I do love the gifts.
So please, this girl, gift her.
Yes, gifts me. Send me some gifts, not gifs. I don't care if that's what he says it is. It's gifts. But come send them.
They're both right. Linguistics. Anyway.
No, please don't come argue with me on Twitter about how to say gifts. Please don't do that. I would appreciate if you did not do that. Just send me gifts of drop kicks and destroyers, and help me remember the difference between a destroyer and a code red, because I can never remember. I know it's the way they land, but I always forget. So. But I enjoy seeing them, so send me all of them. I don't care. Perfect. Yeah. So send, and then Mel's gonna have pictures like the venue and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'll start linking those to that thing so people can actually.
Yes. So please come join us. Don't let this ending scare you away. Come back for episode 10.
Yes, Stardom rules the world. I like Stardom.
I really have got to get into Stardom. I have to.
Yeah, you do. But
I don't have enough wrestling time. I got to figure out how to make it happen. I actually just had this conversation again. I've had this conversation like 14 times because Matthew was like, I need to watch Stardom, but I don't have time. We literally had this conversation 2 days ago. So one of these days I'm going to watch it. But until then, we will talk about all the other things that we watch.
Yes. Thank you guys for joining us for Powerbombshells.
And tell us if you liked our new intro thing that Mel made for us, because it was cool. And I don't know, maybe if they didn't see it, can we pop that up on Twitter?
We can put it on Twitter, I think.
Maybe. Or you know what? No, you have to come watch the replay to see it. And then
see at the beginning.
Then you can comment or tweet us or tell us on somewhere that if you like our new intro, because it's cool and Mel did an awesome job with it.
Thank you.
But that is it for us this week, and come back, like we said, for episode 10.